Cinco de Mayo, 2026. Back porch of my cabin. End of another crappy day. You can see it's cloudy, overcast. It was cold. I had a fire burning in the stove all day long. But it's Miller time. Things are good. If you haven't seen my cabin before, those are my potable water tanks that service the house. The shed I built over here was the last thing built. Houses the ATVs. Got a bit of a tire inflation problem on that ATV. It just had new tires put on it. You have to see if it's got a leak or a valve stem leak or something. Solar, batteries in the box, inverters, charge controllers on the wall, cabinets. My son worked at Lowe's. He got all these busted up cabinets or returns or whatever they were. He got them for almost free, just pennies on the dollar. Gave them to me. I hauled them down here and put them up, and keeps all the mice out, all the birds out, all the mud daubers out. Keeps things pretty clean. And I had to have a workshop, so I put a bench in here. Got a portable air compressor. Good to go. Got everything I need here. Back porch, that was one of the last things I put on after the cabin was built, was a back porch. Got my pellet gun sitting here because I'm shooting woodpeckers and starlings out of the oak trees behind me. They're nesting and mating and what have you, and basically just crapping up all over the place. This is where all the junk sits that can't put in a cupboard or a cubby hole somewhere, like the generator and the old cream separator I got from my uncle that my grandparents had. Hot water heater. Boy, that's a godsend. I used to have to wait until like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, till the sun beat down on those black tanks and heated the water up so I could tolerate taking a bath. With this, I can get up crack of dawn, jump in the shower, and I got hot water. Outhouse is over there. I asked the kids when we built this place if they wanted a shower or a toilet, and they said they wanted a shower. Consequently, none of them have ever stayed here. Water treatment system from those tanks right there comes in under here through the water treatment system into the house. A friend of mine gave me all these windows. He had to remodel his house up in Washington and had all these windows left over, and I just took them and hauled them all down here. I made that porch swing up in my garage in Washington. Had all this scrap wood laying around. Squirrels were digging underneath it and around it, and I was just going to get rid of it and burn it all up. 3 cow skulls that have been collected over the last several years. You dry them and they turn white, and you can make stuff out of them. Those old leaf springs that come out of a wagon that my dad collected. There's a chassis over there. An old buckboard seat spring wagon. So I made a little bench seat out of those and put it right next to the fire pit. So we got a fire going today. You can see it's still a little green, May 5th. The hills are a little brown, but still burn for a few more days before people get excited. Here's my grandfather's old Fresno scraper. There's the old pump out there on the rock on the left, and the old engine on the right that he used when he had the old place built down the creek there. He sucked water out of a spring, pumped it up to a cistern on the hill, and gravity drained it into the house. until he got power in 1950. He built the house in 1940. So 10 years, my grandma cooked on a wood stove. And he had the kids run down there and start that pump and yell when the cistern was full. Hey, turn off the pump. Outside the fence there is my metal targets grandkids like to shoot at. On the ground there by the fence is a portable mortar and pestle from the Yakutsk Indians who used to inhabit this before we drove them off and claimed it. You know, being the civilized people that we are, annihilate the Aborigines, kill them, give them diseases, they all die off, and take their land and farm it. There's a sign I made out there that I cut with my plasma arc. It says Whitney Ranch, 1919. 1919 is when my great-grandfather, Cassius Whitney, bought this place, 1,360 acres. My grandfather expanded on it. When he died, it was split 3 ways amongst the sons. This part belonged to one of my uncles. My dad's part, my sister took. She sold it, moved out. I was lucky enough to buy this from my cousins. 200 acres down here in section 16, which includes that hill called Jet Hill with the plane crash up there in the corner. I made that windmill a couple of years ago and brought it down here last fall and put it up. It works like a champ. There's the solar panels that feed the array I showed you in the shed. Here's a picture of the front of the cabin. We bought this, 2013 or 14. It wasn't 2 or 3 years before I could see the writing on the wall. My sister was going to sell and move, take my mom with her. I wasn't going to have a place to stay. So I was fortunate enough to buy this 200 acres from my cousins. I asked my brother and my daughter and my son where we should put a cabin up. One of the options was over there. One of the options was over there. As you can see, we have a nice view of the flat out there, but this kind of shields us from the road coming in, so people can't look up here and see a cabin, which is why I chose this third spot that they picked out, this one right here. And boy, that was quite the project. None of us had ever built anything out of wood before. No carpenters, no handymen, nothing. So what we gleaned from YouTube videos and reading magazines, we put this up, and it's been standing for over 10 years now. I think we did a damn good job. And those trusses, dropped those things off over there on that flat. We had to buck them across the creek, which is down in that ravine there, and lug them over here. And those things were wet, green and wet when they delivered. So they were heavy. And we telephone poles, they were laying down at the original homestead, and we drug them out here with a tractor. Those kind of anchor the entire cabin. That was a real experience. I enjoyed building with my kids, 2 of my kids and my brother. The next modification, I think, is I'm going to put a deck here on the west side of the cabin. This is an 8-foot deck in the front, a 6-foot deck on the back, and I'm going to make another 6-foot deck here. And it's going to be 1 step below the floor level of the cabin. If you can see, it'll be right around the edge of the beam that supports the cabin going back. So the edge of that skirt where the siding is. I think it'll look good. I got a grandkid now who comes down here with me when he can and absolutely loves this place. So it'll be a project to get him involved with and teach him some things. and give them a sense of accomplishment. You can see the stovepipe, which I've had a fire going all day in. It comes from the stove that my maternal grandparents, the Pardees, bought around 1940-ish and put in their little cabin across the road from my grandparents for when they came up from LA to visit, that they could live there, and they had heat from that stove, wood stove. A lot of history here, a lot of history. Like I said, this place goes back to 1919, so it's been in my family for over 100 years. And not only was I lucky enough to buy this 200 acres from my cousins, but I just bought that 240 acres up on that hill, headed in that direction, from my other cousins when my other uncle died about 2 or 3 years ago. So I have 440 acres here, which seems like a lot, but it's not really a lot, because you can't raise more than 8 or 10 cattle on an acre of this property. And that's only for a half a year, because this creek dries up in the summertime for 6 months. So not only was I raised here, but this place, it's in my blood. I never appreciated it when I had it. When I was a kid, I had access to all of this, and I just treated it like it was something I deserved. And now I realize what my grandparents have given to me, and it's precious. So I want to pass that feeling on to my grandkids if I can, and my kids, and get them to use this place and put it in my will so they can keep it in the family. You can't recreate this stuff. This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. You have to seize it and hold it, or sell it and kiss it goodbye forever. Looks like our bonfire is burning down to just coals. If we had some wieners and marshmallows, we could toast them and make dinner right here. If you see over there on the corner brace, there's a 50 caliber machine gun, Browning. That came from a World War II jet fighter. It crashed right up there on that hill. And my dad ran up there and hauled 5 of those back down to the old house, which is down the creek here. And this is one that ended up with me. A lot of history here. A lot of history, over 100 years. Man, I love this place. Wish I could share it. Usually I bring my grandson down, or I have been bringing my grandson down, but this time he had a cruise book with his dad. They were going up to Alaska on a cruise. So he wanted to cancel that cruise and come down with me, but his grandma said he probably ought to go on a cruise with his dad. But I miss him. I wish he was here. Anyhow, that's it for Cinco de Mayo. Happy Cinco de Mayo.